Hello everyone and welcome to the Whoop UCI Mountain Bike World Series, the UCI Cross Country Olympic World Cup, roaring back into life, right in front of your very eyes, in the Haute Savoie region of France at the world famous Léger. This place, let's call it, despite what the clouds would suggest, a wee bit dusty after last night's downhill after party. Massive storm rolled into town, pretty much bang on cue at the start of the elite women's downhill race. Heavy thunder and lightning last night, and it absolutely dumped water like you would not believe. But we're getting ready to go for the 123 Women's Cross Country Olympic, and it will be very interesting to see what the track is going to do out there. As Adela Holubova takes to the front row, already fogged up. So it's not that cold today, have to be said. But so much of this course, as we see Ella McLean-Hoyle taken to the front row, so much of this course out in the open, exposed to the worst of that weather yesterday. Clouds continue to drift around this part of the world. We may well see some rain later on today. Equally, we're in the mountains, it may well burn off and be toasty hot. Ginia Kaluri takes the start line. Here she comes though, a young woman in a big hurry, Olivia Onesti, shocked the cross-country world in Crom, Montana last time out.
If she can repeat today here from Lexware Mountain Bike Team, it is Sina Van Thiel.
Sina Van Thiel having a good season, the German. But one of those young talents that it feels like we are still to see the very best of.
Very hard to get the precious points and keep the World Cup lead.
And look at those two faces locked in concentration. This is the battle they've come here to see. Two of cross-country racing's future superstars line up side by side this morning. Kira Bohm in the overall points leaders jersey. Cube Factory Racing. Isabella Holmgren was absolutely stellar, as she tends to be in the short track. A couple of evenings ago, narrowly edged ahead of Bohm. Here's the start list then. Holmgren, Bohm, Van Thiel, Onesti, Kaluri, McLean-Hoyle, Holubova, Leah Hooper are your front row. Madigan Monroe on the second row, as I am joined in the commentary booth by Ollie Beckinsale. Ollie, up early, fresh and well.
The big day of XC racing today, and like I said, that rain last night, this course is going to be really slippery, and some of the easy sections are going to be really difficult to ride, especially on those grass open turns.
Yeah, if you've not been to the Haute Savoie region, this is the wettest time statistically to visit it. My goodness, didn't we get a storm last night? The remnants of which still hanging around. You can see those big exposed grassy turns, super steep switchback corners. And this first lap will be interesting.
Yeah, the racers have to work out. They wouldn't have ridden a lap this morning, I would guess. So a teammate or a manager may have, but they're going to have to work it out this first lap as they go. Hopefully no running.
Yep, temperature-wise, it's pretty much perfect as they get ready to go under starters' orders. The red lights hold them. Green will release them. And it is green for go on a hectic day of cross-country racing here in Léger, and Kira Bohm leads them away as they head up the hill, out on the start loop for the very first time. Fast start, everyone away safely on Onesti, and there's a smash further back down the order just as I say that. One of the KTM riders down and in some discomfort. Meanwhile at the front, Onesti's right alongside Kira Bohm.
And a bad start for Holmgren, just missed her pedal, and she's back in that kind of 12th or 14th position at the moment. A little Trek rider.
Yeah, it's Amélie Vaziel who has gone down and is still down on the start-finish straight.
It's really tough, this first climb. Quite open, though, to the riders. If they do have a bad start, can move up on the outside. Plenty of space.
Yeah, there is Kira Baum then in the red and white jersey off the overall points leader. So, Ollie, no Emily Johnson this morning, not starting.
Yeah, rode the short track, but not starting the XC, which is a bit of a shame. She's been in some good form, well, good form all season.
Yeah, she's been great, hasn't she?
One of the favourites for today. You know, one of the few riders that we've seen Kira Baum dominating in Brazil at the start of the year, and then Isabella Holmgren coming in, and one of the riders that's been kind of taking it to them, seconds, thirds across the series. You see the overall leader, Kira Baum, just on that right side. Onesti, the winner of the last race, just on the left in the French champs top.
Yeah, and this climb, it's really been a sort of signature part of the Leger course for years, hasn't it? Really just long, and more than that as well, it's not so much the steepness, it's the lumpiness of it as well. It's very uneven, it's very difficult to find a groove.
Definitely one of the climbers' tracks on the circuit. We've got two main climbs on this one, and the rain we've had overnight, it just slows it down a little bit, just makes the tyres stick into the floor a bit more than on a dry day, so it's going to make the whole course a little bit longer, and this climb definitely a lot longer.
Yeah, important to mention as well, the very sad news we got yesterday that Andre Draga, 25-year-old Norwegian cyclist, died at the Tour of Austria. Everyone here in Leger, everyone from Warner Brothers Discovery Sports, sends their deepest condolences to his family and friends. As the riders head up into this sort of tricky pinch point where the rocks kind of thin them out a wee bit. There's Corvi off and running, the Italian, just falling foul of that pinch point.
Corvi as well, 24th in the short track race, so that gives her a lower rank grid at the start, and this is how these consequences pay out. You know, you start further back, you have to scrap on the first hill, then you get caught in the first pinch point, and you use a lot of stress and energy in this first lap, whereas you see Onesti and Kira Baum, good short tracks, they're on that front row, which means they can kind of float on this first lap.
Well, two bits of news from the commentary booth. Bart Brengens has just called in to say a quick good morning, and he's got sunglasses on, so maybe he knows something that we don't. Second bit of news is he's not brought any coffee with him.
I'm disappointed.
It's not like the Bart man, but he may have got confused and drank them all on the way here himself. You don't know.
One rider did have a coffee. Isabella Holmgren.
Yeah.
Bad start. Drifting into kind of 14th, 15th, already recovered now, back into third position.
Holmgren, we saw that though in the short track earlier on in the weekend where she kind of floated in around the first three positions at the start of it and then just disappeared up the road. Death by 1,000 pedal strokes. Kira Baum though just grinding out the chainring on those rocks.
And after that first long climb, we come into this wooded section. It's really tight, windy, quite technical, big rocks, roots, and it kind of winds itself around, drops down, and it's quite a lot of time.
Ellen McLean-Howell is currently in 9th, the British rider. We're going to see the start again. So there was a crash further back in the pack, but McLean-Howell away, but Onesti just absolutely took off. Here's that crash. Yeah, just it looks like a coming together, Ollie. Nothing more suspicious than that, but just watch it bottom right of your screen here.
Only needs one rider to lock bars with another one, and then you get this kind of rippling effect going all the way across. At some point, there's going to be a get down for somebody.
But out front, Onesti, just as she did in Crans-Montana, making a break for it.
Yeah, we saw Kira Baum make a mistake on that first rock garden, and fortunately, if she made the mistake there and clipped out, it kind of unsettles you for the following sections, and we see Onesti getting a good gap already.
That's the first time we've seen these wood sections today. Josh Carlson has been out on course, having to redo his course preview because of the extreme conditions from yesterday evening, and saying it's just super, super slick out there on Onesti.
That was a good save.
Olivia Onesti, she needs to give us time to warm into this day. You can't have accidents like that. There's Kira Baum. That was the line they favoured last year, wasn't it? Coming off that ramp early. Gives you a nicer, wider sort of entry into that turn. You don't have to square it off just as much, that left-hander at the bottom of it.
Ellen McLean-Howell absolutely nailed that. So the fastest line is to cut across the bridge, going to our left on the screen, and hit those bigger routes, but you carry, there we go, just like that, carry more speed into it. Slightly slower as you square off the turn, a bit safer.
But that's the thing with any mountain bike. I remember somebody telling me once that the key is to only ever ask them to do one thing at once. And you can get on the brakes and drop off the ramp, release the brakes and start your turn. Whereas if you're asking it to turn, brake, adjust itself at the same time, then
there's a lot going on.
There's a bit going on. But
there's Leah Huber.
Yeah, Huber is the one. Take that to Onesti. Let's just have a look at that moment again.
Yeah, we see Onesti just coming in here, hits that big gnarly route, just puts her sideways, heading for the big tree stump.
She's done really well there. As a bit of crisis management, that was pretty good.
But that's one of those times when you have to use your cat reactions. You know, you're not thinking about it anymore. You're just relying on kind of inbuilt skill. But yeah, she was lucky to keep that one up.
I feel like it's one of the things we said before this season, but that's bike time, isn't it? That's just riding your mountain bike a lot and learning to be comfortable in those situations when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, and in situations today with, like say, with the roots and the damp in the woods, and it suits the riders that are from, well, like say UK, Ellen McLean-Howell, I think she's one of the best at cleaning that sections. The riders that ride in damp conditions, wet conditions all winter, this is where it comes into, even though some other riders that are riding hot, they do ride in the wet, but it's not week in, week out, so they don't have those kind of like little dexterous skills. Yeah, McLean-Howell up to 6th now.
Halter, 9 seconds back in that European Champions jersey for Timus Acros Young Stars. Behind her, Ciara Baum and Ellen McLean-Howell. And I'm guessing if I'm Ciara Baum, I am just happy that the rider at the back of the shot now, Isabella Holmgren, is not right alongside me, but we know Holmgren in that blue and yellow kit of Lidl Trek has got plenty of horsepower to deploy when she needs it. Maybe just getting a bit of a sighting lap in, Holmgren.
Holmgren just moving up through such a strong climb, and kind of, like I say, last year's junior world champ. Missed the first 2 races under 23 in Brazil, and then came in at Nova Mesto. Absolutely smashed it to bits.
Soon to be an Olympian.
Soon to be Olympian, yeah. That was enough of a performance to qualify for Canada.
Yeah, alongside her brother, Gunnar Holmgren, of the KMC Ridley squad.
Cool story, that.
It is a really, really cool story, yeah. I mean, everything that we've seen from Isabella Holmgren this season would indicate that she's more than up for it.
McLean-Howell just going on the overtake on the outside, looking really strong today. Onto the wheel now of Ciara Baum.
This will suit McLean-Howell today, you get the feeling.
Yeah, a bit of wet weather would I thought would be better for her than the dry dust we had on Friday.
Jasinska up an 8th. This little climb, really, really putrid. This is a difficult one. It's just basically grinding pace you climb up and never gets wet, this.
Yeah, long, hard climb. It peaks on this really steep section, then we go back into the technical woods again.
Holmgren, though, tapping out a really good rhythm on the way up it.
It's Onesti. I mean, she's really his first lap, and we saw her having a little wobble on the technical section, but before that, riding really smooth, gapping Ciara Baum. We come along here, and there's a difficult, it kind of crosses across the camber, then there's a big sweeping left-hand turn, kind of multi-line option, but all lines. It's one of those sections where there's no right line. You kind of pick in the best of a bad bunch.
It does that a lot around here, doesn't it, this course in Léger? They seem to be masters at it, of putting in options, none of which seems to be the best one. Really awkward. So it's Onesti out front at the minute. Got that first win in Crans-Montana in Switzerland last time out, and you could just see her bristling with confidence afterwards, couldn't you? That this was, she wanted to. She said that she was a little bit disappointed with getting that win in Switzerland, so her family and friends weren't there, and you get the feeling that she's going to put on a show for them today to make up for it.
McLean-Howell on the overtake for Ciara Baum on that inside. You see the difference between technicality of the riders, that Ciara Baum, amazing climb, but struggling a bit, and we see Isabella Holmgren as well, just not having that technical skill of some of the other riders, and that's where she's losing the time at the moment.
Yeah, Halter down over the drop, and again we see Holmgren go round the drop, so maybe you're right, Ollie, maybe he's going to just sort of lose time increasingly throughout the distance of this race on the technical sections. And I mean, Crans-Montana features some of the most technical sections we've seen in cross-country racing, but it is a technical track, this, and the average speed's very high around here as well.
And it's like I say, technical in the dry, but with these wet conditions now, it's just gone. That technical level has risen up a little bit compared to the physicality of the course.
These jumps here, there was a rumour floating around that Bjorn Riley tried to basically quad them, tried to double both sets of doubles. Which if one man, if you're going to believe that someone's had a go at it, Bjorn Riley, probably the man.
Not shy, is he? That section coming down now before the big berms and the 4-cross section.
Look at Onesti's lead here.
Yeah. It's a section that doesn't get a lot of kind of airtime, or because it's not that kind of big section, but it's just a gnarly little single track, but loads and loads of routes, and it just links up a couple of the key areas. And it's one of those sections where you can get into trouble pretty easily.
This section to the bottom of the old downhill bike park track, we've seen over the years riders like Nino Schurter really gaining time, but Onesti running wide here. You can see just how treacherous this is. Look at the state of the piste. McLean Howell looks like she's navigated safely as Kira Bomb drops in, followed by Holter.
And all these riders just trying to find a bit of green grass. Green is grip.
Green is grip. There's not going to be much of that around for very long, though. Isabella Holmgren anchors up, makes it around there safely.
But the time that McLean Howell's made on that one section, back to 3 seconds now, and she was absolutely nailing those corners, riding it really, really well in the tech stuff.
I'm surprised there's any grass up there left. Just before we came in the commentary booth, Josh Carlson drifting his e-bike around there, flat out, refilming Carlson on course after the overnight weather. McLean Howell off and running. But like we saw in Crans-Montana, Ollie, you're just going to... We saw it in the downhill yesterday. Aaron Gwynn talked about it a lot, that it's a really interesting mindset to get into whenever you just have to be happy with making mistakes. You're just going to be confident that it's not going to be a perfect one, this, and you've got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, not quite as extreme as we faced last time in Crans-Montana, not as muddy in the woods, but at every point during the day you're going to have to manage your bike, you're going to have to manage small crashes and mistakes, and it's getting back on and kind of just mentally just pushing them aside as quickly as possible. McLean Howell, that's a great descent she's done.
So over the line then, Olivia Onesti ahead of Ellen McLean Howell. McLean Howell making those wet weather descending skills pay for her. Behind them, best we've seen of her this year, you'd have to say, so far, Holter. Kira Baum right on her wheel. Baum's looking good here. Holmgren feeling the pinch a wee bit with the technical descending out there behind her.
This is the big difference today with that rain overnight. I would probably say about 20 times during the show, just made everything far more technical, and it's just going to split the descending skills of these riders today.
And there's Madigan Monroe running the custom Nike branded helmet. That program in the US. So there's Madigan Monroe, though, having a big old slide to herself. Gets the foot dabbed down. Manages to... I mean, it's a pretty soft landing, but...
I say one hand in the mud.
That's a nightmare. I mean, that's one of those ones I think anybody who's ridden a mountain bike on a wet day can attest to, that a wet glove on a dry grip.
But Monroe, obviously second in Crans-Montana in the last race, so would have come into this one with high hopes, but at the moment just sitting there in kind of 10 or 12. She's recovering a bit from that crash, but this first lap not going well for her.
Yeah, the Pan American champ was really, really strong in Crans-Montana.
Yep. Like we've seen on this first lap, the bit we were worried about with those big grass turns and waterlogged now, and that's going to be probably the most technical section. In the woods it seems still pretty rideable and quite dry. Hasn't quite got deep into the woods yet, that rain.
Yeah, that special blue and gold helmet off Madigan Monroe's. NICA, N-I-C-A. It's a non-profit organisation, develops interscholastic mountain bike programmes for student athletes across the USA, and I mean, the raft of American talent currently out there, absolutely huge. Holmgren has now moved past Kira Baum, so just as we predicted, Isabella Holmgren, she's got a sighter in the banks and is now starting to move towards the front of the race.
Yeah, this Leger course, 2 big climbs, 2 big descents, and we're going to get this bit where I think the pure climbers are going to make some time back in a few on the big sections uphill, and then the tech riders, McLean Howell, are going to gain a few back. We're going to get this yo-yoing between the races today.
Onesti, Ella McLean-Hyle, Isabella Holmgren, your top three currently. Kira Baum, the series overall leader in 4th. Ahead of Holter in 5th.
Kira Baum, like I say, winner of the first 2 races, and she smashed it in Brazil.
Yeah.
Way ahead. And we were almost thinking this is going to be, she's going to win every race in the series the way she was riding. But since coming back to Europe, homegrown, like I say, smashed it in Nova Mesto and then also in Val di Sole. But Kira Baum as well, I think maybe the form's dropped off a little bit, but also mentally really hard, I think, when you've actually been so head and shoulders above everyone else to then come back and be at the end of
Holmgren past Ella McLean-Hyle now. Isabella Holmgren has decided that actually these conditions do suit her. Although we have to say, Ollie, this is from the basis of the last lap, this is the strongest part of the course for her in these big long climbs. She heads towards Olivia Onesti. Onesti though can descend, not scared.
No, we saw on that first lap is now bouncing off the roots. And maybe for Holmgren as well, sometimes it takes a little while just to get the confidence up. Sometimes it can be a little bit tight on the bike on the first lap, especially when you're not quite sure of the conditions, and then you kind of loosen up as the race goes on.
Clever racing as well, though, to take it steady on the first run out, just see what the course is doing. Really, because as we saw during the downhill yesterday, there's not been a lot of wet weather running this week, virtually none for the cross-country riders, so... Interesting just to gauge conditions out there. It was the title contenders, Holmgren and Baum, who were the top 2 in the short track earlier in the weekend. Sina Van Thiel was 3rd, then it was Onesti in 4th and Gina Kaluri in 5th. But Holmgren really blew them all away.
Yeah, and Gina Kaluri as well, one of the higher ranked under 23 riders from last year, and just did okay at the start of the season, Brazil, but just hasn't quite been able to get that form to match the other riders once we've come to Europe for the last few races.
And whisper it, Bart Brenchens may have been onto something with the sunglasses. There is a shaft of direct sunlight in front of our commentary booth at the start-finish line, such as we didn't see all day yesterday during the downhill, so maybe, just maybe, course may dry out here across the day. Plenty of racing to come, of course. Elite Women's Cross Country Olympic up next, then it's Elite Men's Cross Country Olympic, and then that is followed by the under 23 men's race to finish off an incredible programme of mountain biking here in Haute Savoie Léger. Different mental approach for the 23 men today, being last out.
You see McLean-Howell all over the back of Onesti. She's come past Holmgren.
Yeah. Oh, Onesti takes her chance again down that descent, manages to hold on clips.
Whoa. Really not happy in that section. And there's something where she keeps, I think, looking at that big, massive stump.
Yeah, tripoding her way down that descent, just on clips, 1 foot, hangs it off. No surprise, there are plenty of camera operators down at the base of that descent.
I'd say one pass made the descent's difficult. The obvious bit is the bridge into the roots, but after there we've got these quite tight, but they're dead turns, they're not bermed. So everything about the bike's trying to slip and let go.
Here we go, let's watch it again. Ollie, talk us through it.
She's just dropping in. She gets a bit squirrely, actually, just coming in. Bit too much front brake. Then obviously bombs a pedal out, which is the worst thing you need.
Stomach on the saddle.
And running no dropper post. So most of the riders are running a drop seat post, so at the touch of a button they can get their body weight lower on the bike. Onesti deciding not to run a drop seat post at all, which I personally think is nuts on this circuit. But that saves you about 200 grams. That's the payoff. It
saves you 200 grams.
200 grams, but over descending skill. And right then, Onesti wished she'd have bought the seat post.
I'd rather have the 200 grams than the kick in the stomach from the saddle.
But she was lucky then. If she dropped off, its problem is as the mud gets into the tyres, then it gets onto the ramp on the way in, and even though it's got like a grip tape on it,
by comparison, Ella McLean-Howell on that wider line absolutely just smoked it. So I wonder, I mean, how difficult for us. We see Ella McLean-Howell now, is she about to head into the lead of the race? Onesti on that higher line up the inside, but McLean-Howell
as well, she's had some great short tracks this year, but she was 5th in Crans Montana in the last race, which was her best XCO race of the year. But this is a top performance, real step up so far.
Yeah, how difficult is it for a cross-country racer, Ollie, to change up their lines in the middle of a race? That particular line is not working for Onesti one bit, and we've seen in the past Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She heads out in practice and she spends, she said, 3 to 4 laps just riding the B lines, so that she's confident that she's got other options should the A lines not be working out for her, or there be traffic. Or
so on that drop down that we've seen Onesti struggle with, there's almost 2 lines on that one section. She's taking the slightly easier line, which is that you turn on the bridge at the start and then you just straight line everything. The line that McLean Howell's taking it's the kind of risk reward. I think it's a better line, full stop. And I saw when I was out watching the recce riding on Thursday, the more technically adept riders were all hammering that outside line, but it requires a certain level of skill to be comfortable to do it. So it's not all riders are able to ride that line.
It can often be a visual thing as well, can't it? There's a lot of stuff in mountain biking that looks a lot more severe than once you ride it and take it off once, it's fine.
Well, it's one of those things where people say, it'd be fine, just ride it. But if you've got the speed and you've got the confidence, then it becomes easy. But if you come into a section all over the place, it's not.
Isabella Holmgren, though, the number 7 Trek, moving to the front. This is ominous now. Is this an attack from Holmgren? Onesti just jumps out of the saddle to get a few pedal strokes in to stay with her. Ellen McLean-Hyle needs to make a decision here. Does she feel strong enough to stay with Onesti, or is she going to have to head past her? Behind them, it's Holter. Kira Baum, the series overall points leader, moving backwards slightly. We saw this from, I don't like making the comparison, Sophie Hemi-Pettersen last season. Ollie just had a stellar start to the year and then just couldn't get back in the mix again. Are we starting to see chinks in the armour?
It's a bit of a chicken egg thing. You're never quite sure if it's confidence or form, which one had a little wobble first, but that form that Kira Baum had in Brazil, I think she was head and shoulders above everybody, but just seems to be drifting off a little bit. Maybe just needs a little bit of a break over the next few weeks.
Here we go, here's the move. Did both of them.
I mean, she's just such a pure climber.
Holmgren doing it right at the top of the climb as well. The descents here in Léger, as tricky as they are, they're also very, very difficult to get past on. Something that we see the likes of Schwarzbar do very, very well. Get to the front, the top of a climb, and then no one's coming past you.
Yeah, you've got control of it then. And when it's technical like this with the roots and the rain, you want to have a clear line and clear sight. If you're second or third wheel, or like I said, if you were behind Onesti when she had that wobble and you're forced to brake, then you brake on the roots, then you go down, it kind of has this chain reaction. So I think being out in front is definitely the place to be on these descents. I think McLean Howell, she was just getting put under pressure, but I think the best way for her to do is just settle in, ride at her own pace on the climbs, and then use the descents to then pull back the gaps each lap.
Saw Leah Huber there, the number 13 on upside down. Unlucky for some. I always mention it, but I do love that bit of chat from Aaron Gwynn about how he actually really liked being in number 13 just because he thought it would freak other people out and it was actually going to play to his advantage. As we see Onesti through the jump line, Holmgren following on.
And in this front group of 3, McLean Howell, visibly the best descender. Just closed back on the wheel, and as well as closing the gap back up, she's also getting some extra recovery time. If you're the better descender, you can flow these sections.
So Onesti has retaken the lead from Holmgren at the top of the climb. Now drops into this big bike park section. I wonder if she's got past her somewhere just off the top.
But even then, you can just see that big gap jump. McLean Howell taking that line, closing, get right back onto the gap of Holmgren.
Onesti looking really, really strong here, Ollie, you know.
Yeah, she's had a great season. Every lap, she's almost gone every race, sorry. She's almost improved one place all the way through to a win. Done a really good job.
If she's going to take that first descent with the same amount of risk for 5 laps in a row. And you can see Isabella Holmgren just sort of cutting a straight line down there, holding a foot off for Ellen McLean-Hyle.
You see the difference there. McLean-Howell super happy in that section. She cuts right out to the left, then goes a big wide line and keeps some of that grass rather than being on the mud.
But you can see Isabella Holmgren just tapped on half a bike length there with her first pedal strokes. These turns in the wet, that camera shot does not do it justice how steep that grass bank is, and absolutely miserable going. You can see the grass is getting churned up by Onesti. I tell you what, by the time the under 23 men hit this at the end of the day, this track is going to be in ribbons.
Yeah, at the moment there's still some sides of the track which has still got quite a bit of grip on with the grass, but that's just going to disappear, and eventually between the tape it's going to be almost look like a muddy cross race. You're going to have mud from tape to tape.
We go into this new look rock section at the end of the lap.
Yeah, tricky little section, this one. There's 2 lines on this one.
This bit really tricky. No real right line through it. You just kind of, that was good from Onesti. They'll just find the left-hand side of that final rock.
Yeah, happy just to lose a second or 2 there, but that big middle line. It's risky because it's faster, it's smoother, but if you go slightly offline.
3 laps to go. Onesti going for a gel, as is Holmgren, as is McLean. Yeah, it's Kuhn. Let's have a look at this. Oh, double taps the ramp on the way through. You see how soft the landing is, and lock straight up, trying to just throttle back a bit.
This is the tough bit. What you want to do is get your landing and everything in the bike trying to push you to the right. But what you want to do is get over on that left side, and that's what McLean Howell's doing a good job of at the moment.
Monique Halter's in 5th, cutting a lonely furrow though, 30 seconds back off Onesti. Onesti's lead currently. Here she is, going into the lead though. Talk us through this one, Ollie.
Yeah, just on the inside. I mean, it's a faster line when she takes us. That's a good move.
You love to see it.
Takes the front off Holmgren. Like I say, once you've got that front wheel in front, it's your line.
You're on the line. Onesti into the tech feed zone. Holmgren alongside her.
But all the way through that top section, there's multiple lines to watch. I like about it, and you can pick your way through. And Onesti happier on that more technical, bigger inside line. Just takes the nose off Holmgren.
Superb bit of bar-to-bar racing from Onesti there, not scared whatsoever.
It's time for Holmgren to take her own back now on this big climb. She's going to set a big pace, whereas before, when they got to this point, she had to close a gap. She's now got the front from the start, and this is where she's going to make them pay.
It's got a bit of news through that the Elite Women's race, which follows this, has been altered to 7 laps because of the condition of the course. So, getting choppy out there, getting really dug up after unbelievable amounts of rain last night. I'm a man who likes the rain, and there was a lot of it last night.
So McLean Howell needs to go into time trial mode now. She's just got gap by his other 2. She's 8 seconds behind.
And you know that Holmgren's game plan, I mean, you don't have to be a strategic genius to work out it will have been to turn the screw on every single one of these climbs. As we see Monique Halter going bar to bar with Benoit behind them.
Yeah, Benoit having a good season, the privateer. 3rd in round 4, so she's got the form.
I do like the all black kit of the privateer. Your logo here. Remember our very own Rory Cunningham campaigning it in the downhill side of things for a year. The all black Endura kit.
Kira Bomb just recovering a little bit better on that lap. Back to 6:44 down.
Kira Bomb, yep, on the number 1 plate. 1Cube's first ever UCI World Cup.
Just into the background, we see Madigan Monroe. And that awful first lap, big crash in the mud. Say 2nd in the last round, so we'd expect her to be up at the front with these riders.
Holmgren in front of Onesti at the front. I was queuing up for coffee the other day, and one of the Trinks team riders, Onesti's teammates, pulled up alongside me. I got a good look at that bike. It's a really tidy thing, that Trinks. Not a brand I particularly heard a lot of before, but beefy where it needed to be, really sleek, good cable routing on it. Looks like a nice bike. I would have a dropper post.
I would have a dropper,
yeah.
But it was Onesti in the first 2 races we were in Brazil, and running a hardtail, no dropper.
Do you think they've told her you can have the hardtail with the dropper, or you can have the full sauce without the dropper, and she's just
take your pick,
stuck with the full sauce, no dropper? Here we go. Oh, I just had a feeling as that clip came on screen that we were about to see.
And it just shows how slippy that middle line is once you've gone.
And this, we saw a lot less in the downhill yesterday. Trudging back up the hill to get the bike is actually more costly time-wise than the crash itself. Someone else down there.
You see Holmgren on his technical sections. Super strong on the climbs, but she's getting through it, but it's quite hard work, it's quite clunky. There's Onesti just flowing a little bit better, carrying speed.
So 3 seconds of difference. It's 31 seconds back to third place, Ellen McLean Howell now. So these two trading blows at the front and moving away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that gap is at the bottom of the descent as well. Like same, McLean Howell's been absolutely pinning his descents and making up time. Now she's completely on her own. Be interesting to see how much she can pull back.
Holmgren from Onesti, from McLean Howell, from Benoit. Kira Bohm 59 seconds back, so nearly a minute back now for the series points leader. That solid post as well, another one.
It's brave, that.
Bold move.
We said about Isabella Holmgren going to Olympic Games this week as well. Ellen McLean Howell announced as well as the second Brit alongside Evie Richards to go to the Olympics for Great Britain.
Yeah, we see a lot of federations do that. If they've got the two picks, you take a younger rider as well, get them the experience, and then hopefully 4 years' time. This is really tough whenever you're following another rider through something that steep. As we see them into Onesti's. She's just not comfortable on that part of the course at all. Bit of a passenger.
It's so difficult that as you're dropping down, that ramp is really steep as well, and it's not going onto the flat, it drops onto those roots, and the tendency is just to hang on to the front brake a little bit too long, just to try and keep the bike under control, and then Onesti just gets a bit out of shape as a result.
And you can see now, visibly, these two making a bit of a bolt for it. McLean Howell's found a second, but it's starting to be gapped.
Holmgren as well, just attacking this climb out the saddle. Really fighting. That's not someone that's just kind of getting into a rhythm, that's someone that's really going for it. And Onesti just hanging in there. This is where Onesti needs to make a call. Is she going to fight for the win, or is she going to just drop off and consolidate second? I think when someone like Holmgren's going at this pace, the risk is you can try and hang on for a bit too long, and you spend too long in the red, and then when you do get dropped off, you end up losing second place and possibly a podium as a result of overpacing it. And we saw Schurter doing it in Nevermester with Tom Pidcock, making a conscious decision to go, yeah, I'm not going to win this today, I'm going for second.
It's always a look over the shoulder, isn't it? That's the telltale sign. What have I got to play with here?
But it uses, to do that, you need to be super experienced, confident as well, and sometimes you can risk it all for the win, and it's not going to happen.
There's a lot of mental calculations need to happen whenever you're approaching VO2 max covered in mud. So yeah, let's have a little update on that then. Kira Bohm leads the way by 617 points. Emily Johnson, not racing today, is on 539. Then it's Onesti, who's right in the mix as well at 534. Stomach bug apparently for Emily Johnson, who is not racing. So Holmgren, 7th on just 360 points. So
big gaps.
Yeah, Kira Bohm, she moves back past Holter again, so she's not done, Kira Bohm.
No, she's riding a good race, so just doing her own thing. I say first lap struggled a little bit on the descents, but she can just get into a rhythm. Like I say, she's got an overall to race for. Between Bohm and Onesti at the moment for that overall race.
Ollie, what's going through your mind then as a racer? You're sitting in bed the night before the race and you can hear the storm outside. You know the track's going to be in absolute bits, and it's going to be a really, really tough day out there. Is it actually true that there are people sitting there going, this is a great opportunity?
I used to like the mud. I think you used to think there was an X amount of riders that's head was fall off before they even got to the start line. They just hate the mud, full stop. I quite like it. A racer we both know, Nick Craig, he used to do a rain dance the night before. He'd almost like, if it rained, he was going to jump up, double his position. In the rain. And his best results always came in muddy conditions. But some riders just hate it. And I think the other thing is that there's quite a lot of stress. Is you want to have the prep, so you do your 5, 6, 7 recce laps during the week, and you've got your tyres dialed, your suspension dialed, everything's cool. and then it rains. And it's almost like that's almost reset. You know roughly where the course is going to go, but you don't know the conditions. Mechanics under a lot of stress. They're changing tyres early in the morning.
Holmgren is distancing Onesti here. 13 seconds now the difference. Yeah, and how big a plus as we saw it in the downhill yesterday. The riders on those big teams that have the support, they have a wet weather set up, pre-prep. They know if it starts raining, right, we go wet.
Yeah, they've got a lot of tyres and a lot of wheels available, and also the right kit to change them. All these riders will be on a tubeless tyre, so they're running a tyre that's popped into place and then a sealant inside. Works amazingly well. The downside is it takes longer, it's more messy than changing with an inner tube. So you can't just do a quick, muddy tyre change.
And this is where the rider in your shot now, Benoit, a privateer, presumably doing it out the back of a van, doesn't have that big support network, doesn't have that full-time mechanic. It's where you make your bones in cross-country racing. Kira Bohm, currently in 5th. 1 minute 14 back.
Benoit as well, 3rd in Val de Soleil. And this Val de Soleil and Leger are very similar circuits. They're quite climb-heavy, routine, natural descents. Similar sort of kind of mid-altitude. So I think at the two courses, they're really close. So
the 3rd rider in that shot, Monique Halter, part of the Tumas squad. Touch of the Alessandra Kellers about her. Breathing heavily, shoulders moving a lot.
Yeah, and it's cool. I've got a lot of time for these big factory teams that also have a development squad. Trek young riders as well, and then almost Thomas youngsters, young stars, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's a really cool setup.
She was 9th in Crom Montana as well, Halter, so well able for it. What's the gap now? 15 seconds between Holmgren and Onesti. Isabella Holmgren seems to have grown into this bike race. Starting to stretch her advantage out now at the front of it.
And Holmgren, all it's about, she's so strong on the climbs. She's just got to manage it, get through the descents. I say just this really slippery condition, the steeper stuff, just struggling a little bit. But if you've got climbing legs, and we see something similar with Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She's so strong on the climbs at the moment. On the descents, maybe not the best in the field, but she's just got to get through it, get round, and then hit the next climb and play her advantage, really.
Equally, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, she analysed that part of her race and round about sort of 17, 18, 19 was where she was losing a lot of time to Yolanda Neff. And she went off and she enlisted the help of Cédric Cécile Ravenel in France, make me a better descender, and she got a lot better. And then it got to a point where she could hold her own, and she was elbowing Yolanda out of the way at the top of the descents and getting onto them and really being aggressive. As we see Holmgren down through the mud, find some grass at the bottom of that section. Absolutely treacherous now. Onesti having to steer from the rear a wee bit, heads towards the outside, needs to sling it back in round right now. Gets it done.
Closing the gap just to Holmgren just a little bit on that descent.
There is, under 23 women traditionally first out on track on a cross-country Olympic day, and the complaint is often that they get the worst of the weather in the early mornings, but I actually think if it does start to brighten up, which is, whisper it, it's looking like it's doing, those bikes look relatively clean at the minute, and what I mean by that, Ollie, is that the mud still looks pretty thin, it looks pretty, there's lots of moisture out there. Once it starts to sticky up, and sort of like we saw in the second half of the elite men's race in Crom Montana, that's where things get really difficult.
Yeah, for those that don't ride, mountain bikers describe mud in about 100 different ways, but
what's the thing is Eskimos have got 1,000 words to describe snow.
Mountain bikers have got it for mud, but at the moment it's wet mud, and that's what you want. Once it's wet, you want it to stay wet, you don't want it to clog up, like you say. It gets into the cogs, it gets into the bike, it gets really sticky. What happens it's going to happen in elite men, probably the elite men's later is when it will have that real change when the sun comes out, is the tyre selection. So at the moment this morning, you've got tyres that are almost hardly any tread on at all, and then you've got they would have used the short track on Friday, and then you've got tyres with a lot more knobbles on, and they would have gone for the full knobbly tyres today.
9 seconds, the difference between the two at the front. Onesti bringing it back towards Holmgren slightly. She's not going to have it all her own way. Ellen McLean-Howell on your screen now, 49 seconds back. So her challenge for a win might be over, but there's a podium up for grabs here for McLean-Howell.
McLean Howell doing a cracking race so far. First lap just bowed the time, second lap came through. But it's on those descents, especially that ramp as you come into the routes, taking that really hard kind of sweeping line. So you drop off the bridge and then you head purposely for the biggest routes. But it creates this really nice, fast kind of sweeping line through it and avoids the big tree stumps.
Here we go. Watch out for Benoit here through the rocks. Knee right down onto all that sharp sort of shale material. Seems to have got away with it, but not ideal.
And that second line, just to slow it down a bit to make it more of a kind of B line or a slightly slower line, they put this big rock at the end of it. So you've either got to hop the rock or go round it, which loses a bit of time. And Benoit deciding to do a little bit of both, which is not the greatest of moves.
No. I mean, we need to talk a bit more about McLean Howell. You know, look at her results this season. 6th, 10th, 5th, 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
Really, really strong. And riding a Cannondale, is there any rumours fluttering around the factory squad?
You have to speak to the Bart man about that. He's the man.
Bart Frenchins has his finger on the pulse of every rider move in that pit.
He's like the sports agent, the stars.
That was what the big sunglasses were about earlier.
Yeah, he's doing deals right now.
Yeah, Madigan Monroe's just come past our commentary booth in 10th, not having her best day. 2 minutes back off the front now for Monroe. Podium, last time out in Crom, Montana for her. It's Onesti, starting to look laboured now. 16 seconds back off Holmgren, and this climb is absolutely... I'm always amazed by, I've ridden this track in the past, and you do this climb on the first lap, and it's long, takes a while, it's lumpy. And then on the second lap, it just feels that bit more savage, and on the third one, you feel like you're going up the north face of the Aga.
When they do the short track race, the XCC, you ride about half the climb. And you turn off just as your kind of momentum starts to run out. Then you switch off. But this one, it's a proper old school alpine climb.
A grinder.
It's a grinder, yeah.
Kira Baum, though, coming back towards McLean Howell slightly. That shot slightly flatters the chasing pack, but Benoit seems to have done well to get herself back together after that crash in the rocks as well and get latched on to the back of this chasing trio.
Fiona Schreiber as well. Like Team Solifern just sitting there. She's coming through the pack really quick. Again, another smaller rider. Looks a fast climber.
Valentina Corvi's just crossed the line. The Italian, 23rd. 3 minutes 27 back. So often the instigator this season. Corvi not near the front of this one. Not suiting her today. Maybe not technical enough for her in terms of descending.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, Corvi just off, I say, depending from her high standards, 24th in the short track race. So we would have expected her easily within the top 10. The two podium positions so far in XCO this year. So not a great day for Corvi.
It's a long old season, isn't it? And there are going to be races where either a stomach bug like we've seen with Emily Johnson, or you just don't have the legs. They will happen.
Yeah, and it's been a really tough run. This is 3 hard races in 4 weeks. And maintaining form, looking after your health, it's a really tough block. And if you have one crash, one cold, obviously, then that's it. There's that block gone. And you've got to come back out, reset, train. There's a period of time after this where the riders can have a bit of a reset, unless you go into the Olympic Games, of course, in which case 3 weeks' time you're back in the mix.
28 seconds back now on Onesti from Holmgren. Yeah, and add into all of that, as we both know, airports, travel, easy to get ill.
It's a really tough European block for the races, this one, and it's trying to manage the training time and also the racing time. So if you need to train during this period, but you're not trying to get better as such. You're not trying to improve your fitness. You're just trying to kind of maintain, let the racing bring you on and bring on some speed and form. But it's a real difficult balance, and it only takes 1 or 2 extra hours or an extra interval session before you know it, you're fatigued for the next race, and then it starts to go downhill.
Chasing trio, Bohm just separating herself from them slightly.
Kira Baum just coming back now, getting to good rhythm. McLean Howell's going to have to watch out behind her. She should make up a little bit of time on this descent now on the way down.
You can hear how hard the riders are working up there as well.
Here we go, drop into the roots. And he's got this big like drop off before this right turn. In the dry, super dusty and a really technical section, but Holmgren doing well, just getting down, super purposeful, a bit for about it.
Yeah. Not spectacular, but not that slow either. Here we go. Going route 1. And then just having to make a slight correction to steer herself away from that big stump. And get back into the rut again, so good technical riding from Holmgren. Your leader, Isabella Holmgren for Ladle Trek. Tapping away at the front, 28 seconds now the gap back to Onesti. And then it's 1 minute 20 back from the leader to Ella McLean-Hyle in third. Kira Bombs in fourth. Fiona Schiebler is fifth. Trio of Swiss riders locked together. Benoit, Halter, the other two. Zina Van Thiel is in 8th. Ella McPhee is 9th. And Matilda Shasinska, 10th. 1 minute 57 seconds covering the top 10 then.
And Isabella Holmgren as well. 2 starts, 2 wins. Opted to miss the last round in Crans-Montana, and we saw that with a number of the elite riders as well, missing that one race which gave them a two-week gap. So a lot of riders did. Val de Soleil, some of them missed Crans-Montana, did 2 weeks of altitude training, which seems to be the most popular form.
Yeah, we saw at Sevilla Blanc.
Yeah, same setup.
Yeah, did the same back in action. The next race on your screens this afternoon, Sevilla Blanc, excuse me, the US national champ.
Yeah, I think a really smart move. You've got 3 races in 4 weeks, and if you do want to train or feel like you need a training block, I think that was the way to do it. Is race 1, 2 week training, race again.
You mentioned it there, you know, between illness and injury, a track like Crans-Montana, cold and wet all week long, easy to get sick.
McLean-Howell as well, with a fellow Olympian, Evie Richards, been training and staying at altitude, and all these races have been at medium altitude, all reasonably closely located, so it's been quite easy for the riders to hang out here, spend a little bit of time at high altitude, and the benefits of that, physically you get some changes in the blood to just help improve the oxygen carrying capabilities, and there are some benefits of that one, just training, but it takes a little bit of time. You can't just rock up for 5 or 6 days and get the benefits, so you need a long burst to really get it. So the smart riders are staying up high between these alpine races and almost combining altitude camp with the races.
Yeah, Evie Richards looking to be back to approaching her best as well. All of a sudden seems to be from quite a sort of a rocky start to the season with that crash and the concussion. Starting to look like the Evie of old, right on cue.
But I think it's great for a younger rider like Ella McLean-Howell to be riding with, racing with, going to games with Evie Richards, really experienced riding. You're going to learn so much, almost like a bit of a fast track program.
24 seconds now on Onesti, so she's coming back towards Holmgren, or is Holmgren managing the lead?
In terms of the overall as well, Madigan Munro, Trek Factory Racing rider, sitting there at 11th at the moment, so going to lose a few points today.
There's Kira Baum. Speaking of points, the series overall leader in 4th currently, but she's got Ella McLean-Howell in her sights. A 3rd place today would be just a ticket for Kira Baum, you get the feeling.
Really good ride for Kira Baum today. She, like I say, tried to follow Onesti and Holmgren at first lap, and then just went, no, it's not happening, backed off, did her own thing, and now coming back strong. She's going to fly past McLean-Howell, I think, here before the descent. Yeah,
tapping out a really, really strong cadence. Kira Baum moves past Ella McLean-Howell then into 3rd place and onto the podium.
McLean-Howell just needs to get that bungee cord out, put it on the seat post of Baum and hang in there now for this last lap. She can use, McLean-Howell can use Kira Baum, hopefully she can just hang in there, just use it as a bit of a marker. And that's going to drag away, stop these two getting back on terms. I think if McLean-Howell gets dropped by Kira Baum, she'll quite quickly be back to Benoit.
These two having a great scrap behind them, Benoit and Schiebler. Schiebler currently in the lead, ahead of Alina Benoit.
It's going to be a good scrap for this 5th place, I think, in the place on the podium. Someone's going to leave disappointed.
We rejoin the race leader then, Isabella Holmgren. Lap 4 out of 5. And we just wonder. She looked like she was struggling on the descents in the first lap, but that would seem to have just been a sighter to see what condition the track was in, and she's kind of ridden superbly, Ollie, there's no kind of about it.
In that first lap, she was tight on the bike. She was a bit scared of the conditions, was a bit unsure, I think. And as soon as you're unsure about something, you get tight in your arms, tight in your shoulders, and then you ride worse. But after a while, just going, yeah, it's not too bad. She gets an idea of the track, what level of grip there is. I say ride a couple of the B lines, don't worry about it. And I think it's quite nice for Holmgren just getting a bit of a gap means she can just settle down, ride the descents at her own pace, and then absolutely smash the climbs.
Yeah, a rider. In the junior downhill, the under 23 cross country, there can often be a standout talent, a standout performer that arrives into a season relatively unknown and leaves as a dominant force. And this is very much what Isabella Holmgren, despite not having the overall points leader's jersey, is starting to accomplish. But a really, really clever championship ride so far for Kira Bohm.
We were talking before that mud. Now you see on the grass section here that's in the sun, it's starting to get a bit clumpy now, and it's starting to grip onto the bikes. More mud on the down tube and into the gears now than there was on the first lap.
Yeah, she gets in around the back markers. You can see, to my eyes, Ollie, that mud starting to look a bit stickier.
Yeah, and I think conditions are actually going to get harder and worse during the elite races.
It's difficult, isn't it? In downhill, you've got so much speed that you generate and impacts that can clear the bike of mud, clear the tyres of mud. Cross-country racing, bit slower average speed, and the bikes just fill themselves full of the stuff.
I think in general this Leger course handle the mud pretty well.
No asphalt here though. Often we get an asphalt start-finish straight, and that's a great opportunity for riders to clear tyres and clean things out a bit, but we don't have that here. Ella McLean-Hilo sticking with Kira Bohm. It's not done and dusted yet for 3rd place. Yeah, there's very, very little grass remaining up there now. McLean-Hile going for the wider line, deploying the land anchor.
I've been great on the tech stuff today, nailing the lines every lap, especially that ramp into the roots, but also on this grass as well, just getting onto that wider line a bit quicker, really using the track.
Up Kira Bohm on that climb. Bohm has to dig the defender off.
And McLean now just carrying that bit more speed in these turns. So you're going right out wide, trying to find that grip.
Four wins to start the season for Kira Bohm. She grabbed another one in the short track in Val di Sole. Even then, Ollie, it's very easy to talk about her struggling for form, but she's the lowest finish she's had this year, 17th in the short track in Nove Mesto na Morave. And really, she's not been outside the top 10 so far. 5 wins to her name.
Yeah, we can be a bit harsh on it, really, about having a poor time in Europe.
Here is, about to see Olivia Onesti having a bit of a moment from earlier on.
Again, just dropping off onto the top into that slippery section.
Oh, great riding skills, keeping her feet on the pedals, just releasing the brakes at the right moment, then hangs the foot off.
You see, once it starts going wrong like that, you've just got to aim for a bit of green grass and then straighten it up once you've got the grip. But yeah, really good riding there, and just get the foot out.
We've all had that one, haven't we, where it feels like the last thing you want in the world is to gain a load of speed, but actually just jumping off the brakes and letting the bike move through and get the wheels in a straight line again can make all the difference. 27 seconds, the difference now to Onesti. Not giving up on it.
No, Onesti riding a great race, and I think great season so far, just riding into it in Brazil. And working your way up through, getting the win in the last race in Crans-Montana, but...
Just a little update. Bart's been doing a bit of digging for us. Down there, Emily Johnson. She's sick. She's decided not to start, but she's aiming for UCI Worlds. She'll go back to Canada for a bit of a recharge, middle of the season. Enjoy the break.
Yeah, so it's for the stateside riders. They've had quite a chunk now in Europe, and it's nice that they've got a reasonable gap. It enables them to go back, see family, reset, get some solid training in on their home roads, and then come back again for the last part of the season. Well, the world champs in Andorra, and then the final 2 rounds go back stateside again. So that then they have the advantage. I think it's so tough for some of the US-based riders when it's this year's been quite balanced, you know, starting in Brazil and then finishing the year. It's almost like 4 and 5. Middle block is tough. They've got to decamp and come over here for a long period of time.
Kira Bohm riding her way towards more points in the UCI World Cup overall. McLean Hoyle's challenge looks like it's fading slightly.
Schieber and Benoit just closing the gap on this climb. And Van Thiel as well coming round strong. Just in the background, the taller German rider.
There is Onesti. Still swinging at it, still fighting.
And for Holmgren now, it's going to be a case of just counting down these technical sections. She knows he's got the race won on the hills, but what's going to take it away from her now is a crash on one of these tricky sections. So she's just, in her brain, I think she'd just be ticking them off one by one. There's 4 or 5 little sections that you know could catch you out, and every time you clear one on the last lap.
Just saw one of the superior bikes riders run past the commentary booth pushing the bike. Never a good day, of course. Cross-country riders can only get technical assistance in the tech feed zone. If you have a mechanical outside of that, you get yourself your bike there yourself on your own steam.
Sometimes it can be a long run to a tech
zone like that. It didn't look like a particularly happy run either. But there you go, some sunshine in Leger. First time we've seen it in a day and a half or so.
So I'm just dropping down now into this wooded technical section, and this will be a key section for her that she wants to tick off. Just coming into that ramp into the roots.
Holmgren on the final lap. Virtually at a standstill through this really steep, rooty section. Heads off the drop for the last time.
Yeah, that'll be one of those sections when you've got a really comfortable race lead, you just want to get it done. But the problem is sometimes you're so worried about making a mistake that you get tight on the bike, and that's when you're less likely to clear the section. But that one's so tough. You could see from that section really good.
I really like that section because I think it's really reflective of the trails in this part of France, and it's steep, and often just a little bit of speed helps you a lot more than
steep, rooty, and it's got that blind drop into the top. Holmgren now hits this climb, the second climb of the lap. One big climb up, big descent. It'll be a 3rd win in the bag. Onesti hasn't given up yet, 26 seconds.
Yep, Trinks Factory team rider Olivia Onesti, Isabella Holmgren, backed by Lidl Trek, excuse me. See, yeah, that's getting sticky out there now. And I don't mean in a way that is going to give you any more grip. Fills these really lightweight bikes and just upsets the balance off them.
deuxième position du classement de la Coupe du Monde. Derrière Kira Baum, elle va peut-être grappiller quelques points aussi.
Isabella Holmgren, though, well in control.
Yeah, and we're going to see a point later in the day where mud actually goes from being sticky to almost dry. And then what you don't want is the big knobbly tyres. What happens, they stick into the floor, especially on the climbs up, and they produce so much resistance. So there'll be a point when the riders will want to flip from full knobbly tyres to almost semi-slick.
Would they use a more heavily treaded front tyre?
Yeah, I would.
And then a thinner profile maybe rear?
Yeah, I'd run. Most of the resistance obviously coming from the rear tyres where most of the weight is. So I would take the risk on the back tyre, run something slightly less treaded. And then, like I say, a bit of security on front, something a bit more knobbly, a bit more of a side edge on the descents, especially on those grass corners.
So, top 5 as the leader heads up the last climb. Holmgren, Onesti, Baum, McLean, Heil, Schibler. Top 5 covered by 1 minute 51. Isabella Holmgren has done what Isabella Holmgren tends to do. Just move forward, drama free, kept it going, death by 1,000 pedal strokes. Olivia Onesti has matched her really well.
Cracking ride by Onesti so far, and it's still only 25.
She's held that lead.
Yeah, been riding the descents really well, climbing, almost matching Holmgren.
And that's it on a muddy day in changeable conditions.
Yeah.
A crash or a puncture. Let's check out the battle for 4th and 5th. There's Kira Baum riding through your shot now, and there is that battle for 4th and 5th between McLean, Heil and Fiona Schibler. Bike team Solothurn.
Yeah, Schibler ranked 26th in the UCI World Series going into the day, so 5th place or 4th place as it may be, it's going to be a cracking result for the Swiss rider.
Yeah, we've had that just about every race in Leger. Big mix-ups in the points, riders finding veins of form, others dropping back. I mean, points super important, of course, throughout the season, but second half of it, heading towards the finals, all the more crucial. There is Kira Baum, big ride from her today.
Well, I say behind Schliebe, not far to fellow Swiss rider Benoit. I think they're going to have to watch out. I'll say 5 on the podium, and that's 6th place. It's a bit of a thankless day.
It's a difficult shout, Ollie, isn't it, for a ride of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, Holmgren's been Holmgren. She's been fantastic. Onesti has been really combative, really strong, as we've come to expect from her over the last couple of races. Kira Baum, though, might just take it from me.
Yeah, Kira Baum, really mature race today. She couldn't quite run with Holmgren on the times, but doing her own race, coming through 3rd place will keep her overall title. It's a big deal for these under-23 riders, the overall title. And they'll all be looking. Some of them are on factory teams, some of them looking for a factory team spot. They're starting to get this time of the year, and they're starting to line up deals for next year. A lot of deals getting done in Leger.
Yeah, you can definitely that. We keep on spotting different riders in different coffee shops with different members, different team staff. And here we see Fiona Schibler moving past Ella McLean Heil up into 4th position for the Swiss rider.
Schliebe doing a cracking ride. Will be the best ride of her season so far. And McLean Howell just needs to hang in there, like you say. There's 5 on the podium, so for McLean Howell to have, if she can keep in that 5th position. But it's Benoit, the Swiss rider, the privateer, in 6th, chasing them down.
30 seconds now, the difference between Holmgren and Onesti. 1 minute 35, back to Kira Baum. So, she has yet to better Isabella Holmgren, Kira Baum, but she has stemmed her losses in terms of the points.
Yeah, so Holmgren generally, this is her 3rd race out, the 6th in the series, so not concerned so much with the overall. And she's also got a road program. She's last year, such an amazing all-round rider. She's cyclocross and mountain bike junior world champion last year. 8th in the road race as well. So those results got her picked up by the big road squad Trek Lim. She's doing this combined program as well with Trek on the mountain bikes, but she's got a lot of fish to fry.
Yeah, she does have a lot of fish to fry, and The big road teams love nothing more than on a young rider's palmarès and some success off-road, mountain bike, cyclocross. Just breeds good bike handling. And
if you can do a good cross race or XC race, even if you're a light rider, you can do a good time trial as well. You just get used to that sustained threshold power.
Holmgren just having to hang the left leg off, find some grass, and then can straighten that track up. And that really is it. Just this last big rock section to go, but she has a 25-second lead on Onesti's kept working, you know. She's kind of matched her pace-wise. Holmgren just did the damage with that attack early on.
I've seen Olivia Onesti all year. Way back in Brazil, 5th and 6th places there, but she's a real fighting rider, a bit like Keller.
Yeah,
they don't give up, and you think whether they're riding for 1st place or 8th place, you get the same level of determination.
Tenacity, yeah.
All the way to the line, really working hard, and I think Onesti's from that same mould. You see her now, she's going to run out of track, and she's, Holmgren has given her a beating today, but she's not giving up. There's still that thought that she might slip off on one of these corners and she can take the win.
You never know what's going to happen in racing. That is the thing. Holmgren through the rocks for the last time then. Just one more obstacle to go. Isabella Holmgren heads towards the finish line in Léger, and she is going to do the magic double in France. Isabella Holmgren wins the short track and wins the cross-country Olympic in fine form as she gets ready to head to her date with destiny. Paris 2024 awaits for the Canadian, who is making a huge name for herself.
Yeah, and Holmgren goes 3 from 3 in her starts this year, so...
Meanwhile, what can you say about this young woman? Made her name in Crans-Montana last time out. Olivia Onesti, superb again today, 2nd place. Onesti was really, really good today. Take nothing away from her. She kept that lead stable as well. Never let go of it. And as you say, like Alessandra Keller, it's what you want to see.
Yeah, determined racing. Oh, Kira Baum off on the corner.
Kira Baum off and running up that last climb. Baum battling it out for the points in 3rd place. We maybe are too critical of Kira Baum at times. It's just that she came out of Brazil undefeated, 4 wins in a row, and you just thought she was going to walk away with the season. Never been outside the top 10 all year. Has had to fight for it today, and will know that she's been in a fight.
Yeah, cracking race by Kira Baum today.
Kira Baum then heading for the line. It's nearly done.
She'll be chuffed with that. Like I say, they can regroup now.
Shrugs the shoulders. There's a smile. Kira Baum, 3rd place. Great result for the German rider.
Yeah, and rightly so. I'm glad she's happy with that.
Yeah, she should be. Behind her, it's going to be a career best for Fiona Schibler. Great race from the Swiss rider. Behind her, last spot on the podium, Ella McLean-Howell. Another rider heading to the Olympics very soon. Another really well-rounded performance, Ollie.
Yeah, backing up her 5th place in Crans-Montana, so 2 top 5s, and that's great. You get your podium positions, your PBs, and then that's the last race before her games performance.
Honourable mention as well to that one on your screen, the woman in back, Elena Benoit, doing it for the privateers out there, 6th place today against riders with some full factory support. Absolutely nothing to sneeze at. Sina Fantail, well, she started on the front row today. She comes home inside the top 8. And there's Ella McPhee across the line in 8th. And Monique Halter battled for that top 10 today, 9th place for her.
Oui, et pour elle, c'est un excellent travail. Elle est ici qui avait sa première vraie saison européenne. Elle a fait un peu de saut in and out l'an passé. Là, avec la
As we see Louisa Diverman heading home in 10th. Diverman, good ride from her. Malika Munro, not what she will have came here for. Just has a last minute wobble in amongst the rocks. Keeps it rubber side down though. The Pan American champ crosses the line, goes 11th on a tough day. And here's the story of the race. McLean Hoyle and Onesti got away well. Holmgren just kept working. Got to the front ahead of Onesti. Really did the damage in the middle of the race. Tapped it on, kept going. No big dramas, just faster everywhere else. Isabella Holmgren clocks another win in 2024. Absolutely superb performance from the young Canadian, and she's down there with Ashley now.
Isabella, huge congratulations. From the 3 XCO races you've competed in the World Cup Under-23s, you've won them all. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it definitely feels super nice. Yeah, I'm so happy to have the support of Trek for the last 3 World Cups, and without them I don't think it would have been possible. So.
And a real confidence boost, as in a few weeks' time you're going to go to Paris, you're going to compete in your first Olympics alongside your brother. I mean, how are you feeling just a few weeks out from that?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm really happy to be able to go with my brother, and this was a nice race to do to just boost the confidence a little bit and get used to some more racing.
How do you make sure that you stay healthy in between now and when you compete?
Yeah, I'm just going to train hard and have fun, and yeah, I don't know.
Sounds good. Good luck.
Thank you.
Isabella Holmgren staying cool, calm and collected. Celebrating with Olivia Onesti down to finish. Well, here is how they finished. Isabella Holmgren, 25 seconds ahead of Olivia Onesti. Then Ciara Ballman third, Schiebler fourth. Ellen McLean-Hoyle was fifth. Sarah Cortinova's down 16th. Leah Huber 12th. Mariga Monroe 11th. We saw a little bubble over those rocks towards the end. Let's hear from Olivia Onesti. She's down there now.
Olivia, congratulations. You can see how much this means to you, especially to get on the podium, second position in front of a home crowd. What was it like out there?
Yeah, I'm just so happy today. It's a really hard race because it's really physical and technical because it rained this night, so a lot of slippery. But yeah, today I'm just so happy because I'm in France with this jersey and a lot of spectators for me, and it's just I'm just so happy today, and yeah, just enjoy every moment, and yeah, it's so good.
Well done. Enjoy celebrating.
Yeah, thank you.
Olivia Onesti, proud French woman, happy to be racing at home in that national champs jersey. Top 30 riders still crossing the line. Such was the pace at the front of this one. Well, a brave ride from the series. Overall points leader, Kira Bohm. Third place today. The German is down there now.
Kira, congratulations. You got a big smile on your face. You must be really thrilled with that finish today. Just what was it like out there, conditions-wise?
Thank you first. Yeah, it was actually fun today, but I needed a few laps until I felt more comfortable in the downhills because it was super slippery. And yeah, I just felt stronger and stronger on the climbs with each lap. So yeah, I'm super happy and proud of my race today. And it's my first podium in Europe in XCO, so yeah.
What a brilliant achievement. Whereabouts on the track are posing the most problems?
I would say maybe here in the last part. It was super slippery, especially in the last lap. I had a crash here. But yeah, I managed to get on the podium, so luckily I had a little gap.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Kira Bohm, third place today, second in the short track earlier in the weekend. So, a healthy haul of points to add to that title lead. We'll get an update on the overall shortly. Kira Bohm had to fight for it out there today. Was well up to the challenge. This place all of a sudden looks very, very different. Sun is out. Here is a lap comparison. So Onesti posted an extremely fast open lap. As did Ellen McLean-Howell. Only laps in there, inside the 13-minute mark. Going to lose two riders. I'm going to get to hear from Fiona Schibler. She's down there now.
Huge congratulations. Your best result so far across the World Cup. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't have expectations. Now I'm on fourth place and it's amazing.
A big push at the end there. You know, what got behind you? What pushed you on?
Yeah, I had a bad start. I fell back and then I tried to stay patient and give my best and try to enjoy the race. It's such a cool track and yeah, it was so much fun.
A big day for you and the team and your family and friends watching. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, thank you to all of them, to my team, to my family, to all my friends. It's amazing and yeah, I can't believe it.
Enjoy celebrating. Well done.
Thank you.
Superb ride from Schibler as we get the podium underway.
In third place from Q Factory Racing, it is Kira Bohm.
Kira Bohm. Third place today for her. Olivia Onesti really coming into a bit of form. Right in the middle of this UCI Cross Country World Cup season. Isabella Holmgren takes another win in 2024. Really looking forward to see what she can do at Paris 2024, the Olympics. Similar to Riley Amos in that sense. Isabella Holmgren then takes the win ahead of Olivia Onesti. Ciara Baum in third. Big celebrations. Onesti struggles with the court, gets there. I think the French crowd will forgive her that one. Our first podium of the day. A very busy day of cross-country Olympic racing. Let's get an update now on what all that has done to the overall point standings. Ciara Baum leads the way by just 63 points now from Olivia Onesti. Onesti has closed that gap right down. Then it's Monroe, Johnston. Holmgren's in fifth now. 212 points back. Then Kaluri, Corby, McPhee, Salvini, Morgan, Benoit. Leah Huber's moved up, as has Sina Fantil, as has, of course, Fiona Schiebler. 457 points back, but that career best performance. Fourth place today for Schiebler will give her plenty of confidence. Ciara Baum retakes the overall points leader jersey then, keeps hold of it. Superb performance from her as we head into the last two UCI World Cup races of the season. Last two chances to score points in that particular competition. Next up, elite women's cross-country Olympic action from the Haute Savoie. Léger, a packed day of cross-country mountain bike racing lies ahead. Don't go anywhere, we've got you covered.